Down from sin, if from sin I cry. There to my heart was the blood of Christ. Glory to his name. I'm singing glory to his name, precious name. Glory to his name. Oh, there to my heart was the blood applied. Glory to his name. God bless you. Good evening, each one of you, for tuning in and joining us virtually and in person, as each week we come together to open up this Bible and let the God of the Bible speak for itself. I am always delighted and thrilled that I am the choice of God, that God has chosen me and planted me in this ministry. I'm really excited. You know, the 13th day, a few days from now, I would have been called to this church 35 years ago. I was much younger and somewhat thinner. I had an afro with no gray, and I was full of energy, innovative in my thinking and approach. And they took a chance on me. And I think that the pastor and people, our marriage blended, and God has blessed us over these 35 years. In fact, I came here with a wife, my wife and I. We was married probably less than maybe, I don't even think we was married a year. Yes, a year, because Sherry was 6 months. And I had a baby, a 6 months baby in my arm, and they took the baby and took my wife and took my family. And from there, Eric was born, and from all of the experiences of my children growing up in this church, it has been an amazing journey. So I'm grateful to the people of Friendship for allowing me to be a practitioner. That's all I am, a practitioner. I've been practicing on them in this congregation for 35 years, but I've been in ministry, pastoral ministry, for 41 years, and it has been an amazing journey, and I'm nowhere tired, so I'm grateful. Listen, this week something exciting going to happen on this Friday at 3 o'clock. We begin our leadership training. You ought to be here. We got an outstanding lineup of men and women who's going to impart upon us tremendous principles that help us develop as Christians, develop as leaders of the church, and to be more innovative in our approach in reaching this generation. You know, the psalmist says, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may my power engage to do my master's will. So we must serve this present age, our calling to fulfill. And so that's what we're attempting to do. So it'll be this Friday at 3 o'clock. We began, and then all day Saturday from 9 to 5. It's going to be wonderful. I need you to be here. Register. You can go online and register to ufwbchurches.com, ufwbchurches.com. Those who have not registered, please register, or there will be on-site registration for you who don't navigate the technology. That's the way of living now. Everything I do is through technology. I pay my bills through technology. I prepare my messages and sermon. Make sure I do fact check, because when I get up to teach God's word, I want to make sure that I am accurate and on point. Because study to show thyself approved unto God, a work that need not be ashamed, but rightly divide the word of truth. I want to build on last week when we were talking about relationships. And last week our focal point was on Jonathan and David relationship. We saw that when Jonathan fixed his eyes on David, the Bible said instantly, at that instant moment, their spirit was knit together. And I was talking about friendship, how friendship is essential to the soul, and how God creates people to come in your life. They may not be your blood, but these are some people that God will allow to be in your life to push you and prepare you to your purpose and protect you. It's amazing how Jonathan really took his friendship, really took serious, because when his father developed this jealousy, rage, and was trying to destroy David, it was Jonathan, Saul's son, who protected David from his dad. He protected David from his dad. What a relationship they had. And when you study, and I'm probably go deeper on, but my focus is going to shift a little bit. But if you study on, David felt a sense of obligation to protect the lineage of Jonathan's household. There's something about deep friendship. People who are deeply, have deep friendship and connection, it just, they themselves immediately just don't benefit, but their seed benefit. It's called covenant. Having a covenant, having an agreement, a covenant. I covers you. I have a contractual agreement to love you, to protect you, to speak into your life, to somewhat correct you when you are wrong in love. And so that's what we need. Tonight I want to talk to you from Genesis chapter number 13. And I want to talk about a relationship between Abram and Lot. And all this deal with this notion of friendship or connection. And I want to show you in this text how you can be connected with somebody, but external forces will force you to depart from each other. That's why you got to keep people out of your business. That's why you got to be very strategic in whom you allow to be in your sacred space. Beginning at Genesis chapter number 12, verse 1, and chapter number 13 is our focal point, but Genesis 12, chapter number 12, verse 1, and I love this, when God now commands him, he says, get out of there. The King James Version said, get out of there. The New Living Translation said, leave your kindred country, your relative, your family house, go to the land that I will show you, and I will make into you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. And I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. And all the families of the earth will be blessed through you. And verse 4 says, so Abram departed as the Lord had instructed him. As the Lord had instructed him. Now notice this. It says here, as God made a promise, he said, I'll show you, I'm going to make you, and I'm going to bless you. This is what I want you to get. I'm going to show you, I'm going to make you, and I'm going to bless you. Now, Abraham was tied and committed to Lot, which was his nephew. Lot is Abram's nephew by way of his brother. And if you study the latter half of Genesis chapter number 11, you'll see the connection where the family of Tiran, this is the family of Tiran, and Lot's father had died. And it became Abram's responsibility to now become the surrogate father to Lot. So Lot is now connected with Abram. So the pronouncement or the announcement of blessings on Abram also benefit Lot. Remember I told you, he said, this is about relationship. Here's a relationship that was formed. It was strategically formed because of the death of Lot's father. And Abram now takes Lot, and Lot now submit to Abram. So the blessings that was conferred upon Abram, Lot now benefits. God says to Abram, get from the place you are familiar with and the place you're comfortable with. I teach this all the time. The familiar place and the place of comfort. That's what he's saying. He says, get from your native land. The native land is a place where you are familiar with. Everybody know you know everybody, and you are comfortable there. There are times in our life that God disrupts our comfort. You know, I want you to know there are times in your life that God will disrupt your comfort and move you away from the very thing that you are familiar with and comfortable with. God says, I want you to move. And that's why God calls Abram my friend. No other one in this Bible does God subscribe as a friend. He says, Noah was a righteous man. David was a man after God's own heart. And Enoch walked with God. But God says, Abram is my friend. Why did God call Abram or Abraham his friend? Because Abraham's faith was counted unto God as righteousness, which simply means that his faith that he demonstrated placed Abraham in right position with God. That's powerful. God calls him his friend, not because he lied about his wife Sarah being his sister, because Abram was a risk taker. He risked it all. He left the very place he was familiar with. He left the very place that he was comfortable with. He took with him Lot, his wife, and all that they had. And God said, I make you, I show you, and I bless you. Lot now benefits from this relationship. My brothers and sisters, those here and there, if you're in a relationship, there will be some benefits. I mean, a God-designed relationship, there ought to be some benefits. That's why you got to be careful who you connect with. You can't connect with everybody, whether it's a family members or non-family members. There ought to be some, what we call divine connection. Put that down, divine. Seek out divine connection. I've thought about this today, and this really blessed me, Mother Virginia. This really blessed me. I thought about my journey, my Christian journey, and my vocation as a minister. And I encountered so many people on this life journey. I met slews of people. And there were some people that I really wanted to be connected to. Almost went out my way to try to connect myself to them, for them to get to know me, and it just didn't work out. And over a distance of time, I looked back and I saw the hands of God, and I said, thank you, Jesus. If I would have became connected to them, I probably would have became misfocused and touched the hot rail and consumed myself. You know, you ought to thank God there's some people you didn't connect with. There's some people you didn't align yourself with. And I traveled places. I went to where they were in conferences. I spent a lot of money hoping to just to get their attention. I was in their close proximity, but it just didn't click. And now that I have a distance of time, I'm able to thank God that there's certain people that God did not allow to come into my sacred space. And that's why I'm saying that. In 2024, stop trying to be friends with everybody when God himself has strategically designed divine relationships that God would use to make you, to bless you, and show you. That's what I'm trying to get to. Here's Lot. It was this relationship of uncle and nephew will be deeper than uncle and nephew. It would be a God divine setup. But what will happen is that they will allow people to separate them. Now let's turn to Genesis chapter number 13. I gave you the background. So Abram left Egypt, verse number 1, and traveled north into Niger, along with his wife Lot, and all they had, all they owned. Abram was rich in livestock, silver and gold, rich. From Niger, they continued traveling by stages towards Bethel, and they pitched their tent between Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This was the same place where Abram had built the altar, and there he worshiped the Lord again. Lot was traveling with him, had also become very wealthy, with flocks of sheep, goats, herd of cattle, and many tents. The uncle and the nephew are rich, wealthy. No, they're wealthy. Now the uncle and nephew is getting along because they have a wonderful relationship. They are successful. They are enjoying success. You know, some people don't want to see you happy with somebody. There's some people who will do everything within their power to put a wedge between a healthy, happy relationship. That's why you got to beware of who's in your life. I've said this often, and you need to put this down, and I said you got to do an inventory. You know, that's one thing that we lack. We keep too much clutter. And this last experience, and I talked about that prior to having the fire in my house, where I said we need to get rid of the clutter. I didn't do it fast enough, so God did it for me. And I just over 30 years being in the place, didn't realize how much stuff I had accumulated and had no use for. I have no use for it. I was hoarding. I mean, it doesn't make sense. God had blessed me, yes, but me being blessed also was me to bless others. You can't continually be blessed if you don't know how to bless others. Give and it shall be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over shall men give into your bosom. Freely give, freely shall receive. I like what the psalmist says. He says, the proverb says, he said, a liberal heart shall be made fat. I'm learning what that means. The more you give, the more things come back to cash your bread upon the water, but a few days it shall return. That means cash your dough. What you been casting lately? You don't put nothing out there, can't nothing come back. When I grew up, we had junior church when I grew up in our church, and every Sunday morning, the adult leader would call, and they would sing the song, bring them in, bring them in, bring the little one to Jesus, bring them in, bring them in, bring the little one for Jesus. And we had a slogan that we'll say after we sung that song. If you put something in, you get something out. If you put nothing in, you get nothing out. That's what I grew up in. Whatever you put in, you get a return. And that's so powerful with the talents. One was given 5, one was given 3, one was given 1, and each one of them that was given 5, 3, went and added more. The one that was given 1 did nothing but dug a hole and put it in there. And when the master came back, had to give an account. The one that gave 5 got 5 more. The one gave 3 got 3 more. The one got 1, he snatched it and called, "You old slow fool. If you put my money in the bank, I would have got interest, but you did nothing." So you got to be careful. They were very rich. Let's read what it says. Lot traveled with him in verse number 5 with Abram, had become very wealthy with flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and many tents. But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with all the cattle and herds so close living together. So dispute broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. Now, look at that. There was Abram and Lot relationship was fine. They were good. They were good. They both was rich. They were comfortable. Lot was connected to the source of how he became rich. His source of how he became rich was because of the announcement that was placed upon the life of his uncle Abram. Abram, you obey me. I'll talk about that Sunday. There's nothing that we can give God. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. But what we can give him is our obedience towards him. God seeking obedience. Obedience is better than sacrifice. If people would get that, if I just get people to get to understand, if you want to please God, obey. The Bible said, without faith it's impossible to please God. For he that cometh to God, that's Hebrews 11:6, for he that cometh to God must first believe that he is rewarded to those that diligently seek him. What must I do to be saved? And Paul said, believe. Everything hinges on believe. Believe. Lot was connected to Abram because Abraham believed God. And in the epistle says, his belief in God was accounted as righteousness. God credit his trust in him as a posture of being in right standard. Can God trust you? You know, that's the key. Can God trust you? Come on, can he trust you? If you're not obedient, he can't trust you. I wish I had somebody talk to me. If you're not obedient to him, how can God trust you? Can God trust you? And the trust that God is looking for is obedience. Abram obeyed God, and he was tested. His obedience, his faith was tested. The first test is in chapter number 12. But later down, the second test will be Genesis chapter number 21. We're not going to get into that. In which he's asked to give that which God has given to him, his only beloved son with Sarah, Isaac. But the relationship of Abram and Lot was healthy until a dispute broke out. The dispute didn't break out between the two. The dispute broke out between external forces. This is what it says. I'll read this to you. It says, verse 7, so the dispute broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At the time, the Canaanites and Perizzites were all living in the land. Finally, Abram said to Lot, let not allow this conflict to come between us, our herdsmen. After all, we are close relatives. We are friends. The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of your section of the land you want, and we will separate. And if you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land on the right. If you prefer the land on the right, then I will go to the left. Listen to what it says. They would allow this conflict that was among their helpers to get between them. Well, why are you allowing separation to happen between God's divine hookup? I can't really understand when God placed somebody in your life and God hooked you with them, and now all of a sudden you decide to detach yourself from them because of somebody else showed up in your life. I see that a lot with young guys and young people. They friends with you one day and things don't go right, then they drop you. They go get somebody else, drop you. It could be you may be walking away from your divine hookup. You may be walking away. Abram said to Lot, don't allow this conflict to take root between us, because later on down the road, when we study this whole life journey of Lot, it will be Abraham or Abram that will intercede for his nephew. He will leave his uncle rich, but he will come back poor. Be careful how you detach yourself. Be careful how you walk away from the divine hookup. Now, you know it's a divine hookup. A divine hookup is stress-free. There's no stress, there's no tension in the divine hookup. Will you agree? No, not always, but you live to accept the divine hookup. Be careful. And Abraham is big enough, mature enough to say to Lot, listen, God has blessed us. Now we're not going to separate out of anger, but we will separate out of necessity to stop a civil war between our herdsmen. And Lot said to him, and Abram said to Lot, now listen, whatever you choose, if you go to the right, I'll go to the left. If you want to go to the left, I'll go to the right. But let harmony and peace be among us. There's a way of separating. They call it divorce. There's some sweet divorces where people divorce, see that they just can't work together and they don't become friends. And then there's some bitter divorce that leaves bad taste in people's mouths and they never ever can get back together. Be careful how you walk away. Woo! Be careful how you walk away. You got to be careful. Be careful that you don't walk away from the divine hookup because somebody brought you word that's unreliable, that can't even maintain a relationship. And now you're putting value on someone who can't maintain a relationship, and you walk away from the divine hookup. I do believe that God places people in our lives for reasons. Don't abort what God is trying to do in your life. There's some people God has placed in your life to open doors of opportunity. They become the springboard for where you need to go. Well, this is the word of the Lord for you tonight. There may be somebody who want to give their life to Jesus the Christ on this time of teaching. It's for the mere purpose of bringing us to a well knowledge of who Christ is. He's our Savior. He's our Lord. He's the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I pray, my brothers and sisters, that God will do for you what no one else can do. That the blessing of the Lord be upon each one of your life. If you want to be a part of this, or be a partner, or a member of this church, or a disciple, you can contact us through our deacon ministry. In 24 hours, we will get back to you and receive you into our fellowship. We're always looking to service people. That's what we do here at Friendship. We provide our ministry as an opportunity to serve. Or perhaps you want to give a gift, sow a seed in the life of this church.